everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and if you watched Monday's video, you will know that I lost my Irish person's card. Like, I lost it. It's gone. I didn't like Guinness. My husband liked it, and he came back for seconds. I made meatballs in the air fryer, and they were just... No. I'm glad the meatballs worked, but the sauce were, no. So today, as threatened, as promised, as I said, we are going to do another Guinness recipe. I like to torture myself, obviously. Well, okay, maybe I just like to adventure. And I feel like there shouldn't be a reason that I really hate this, but I really hated those meatballs. So I decided that the next Guinness recipe I'm going to try, and maybe the last, is going to be chocolate cake. So today we are gonna make Guinness chocolate cake. Now, it's relatively easy cake. It's a sour cream cake. The stout itself goes into the batter. You actually make it first in a saucepan. So, yeah, I've never made this kind of cake before, but it has sugar in it, which you who've known me for a little while, you know that I have a little bit of a sugar thing. You know, I like sugar. So I'm thinking that this should work out. This should work out in my favor. I should like this, and then I will get my card back and be an Irish person once again. So without further ado, let's make this chocolate Guinness cake. Are you ready? Crossing my fingers because, man, I will never live this down ever. Okay, so this is a relatively simple recipe, but unlike any cake I've ever done before, we're actually going to start it in the saucepan. So right here in this saucepan, I have about 10 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just going to melt that. And for those of you who watched my other video and I was having a problem popping off those tops, it was just the wrong top popper. And I'm gonna need about a cup of Guinness. Now you'll see me looking over here every once in a while because I was gifted an easel of sorts for my recipes. Now I like to print out recipes. I used to try to use, you know, my iPad or whatever else, but I was always worried it was going to fall or it was going to, you know, get dirty or whatever. So this is a handy little easel. It's from the company Just Stick. I'd never heard of it before. You can buy it at Staples or wherever else. It works on static electricity. So you can actually put your recipe anywhere you want and it will stay on this page. Now, I wondered why I would want something like this whenever I first was gifted it, but after I realized it could hold my recipe in place while I work around it, I was like, I think I do like that. So that's not a sponsored product or anything, but I'm finding it very useful, especially whenever I want a heads-up display and I don't want the recipe laying on the counter. And it does work with multiple sheets of paper, and it also works inside my sheet protectors because some of you know I do use sheet protectors. Okay, we're gonna preheat the oven to 350. And we want this over medium-low heat, and we want about a cup of Guinness. So that's about a cup. All right, so we're just gonna heat this up until the butter melts. And while we're waiting for that to melt, let's go ahead and combine our sour cream, our eggs, and our vanilla. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. So we're gonna go ahead and get it off the heat. All right, and let's finish combining our cream cheese mixture real quick. All right, we'll set that aside. Okay, let's get that off the heat and let's move our burner real quick. And to this, we are going to add our cocoa powder and our sugar. And we're gonna use our whisk to combine this all together. I've never made a cake in a skillet before, We are going to use a springform pan. In fact, we need a 9-inch springform pan that has been buttered and lined with some parchment paper. So I've already done that for you here. So it'll be all ready, but this beginning part, starting in a skillet, is a new one for me. Okay, I'm assuming that looks good. What do you think? Now you can't see it super well because of the camera angle, but it looks kind of like chocolate ganache, only really, really thin chocolate ganache. All right, so let's go ahead and add our flour. Oh, no, we are supposed to add the Guinness mixture into this bowl. So here we go. Let's add the Guinness mixture right in. And we are to whisk. That looks pretty good, actually. Smells pretty good, although, as we know, smells can be deceiving because with those meatballs on Monday, seriously, it smelled like it would taste okay. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Okay, let's smell. Smells like chocolate cake. That's a good sign. Okay, once the batter is smooth, we are going to add in our flour and our baking soda. Now, they did not say to sift these two together, but I'm thinking I want to because I'm gonna dump it in there and it's just gonna clump together. So I'll just mix them in my bowl ahead of time and use a fork and kind of mix throughout. Just makes me feel better. All right, here we go. You ready? And we're just supposed to whisk until smooth. Make sure when you whisk, you scrape your bowl with your whisk. That way you can get all of the flour that might be remaining in your bowl. Well, looks like a chocolate cake to me. Okay, let's make sure we don't overmix. It says mix until smooth, but smooth enough. And then we are going to spread or pour into our prepared pan. All right, we can do that. And just like with any cake, I'm gonna tap it a couple times on the counter to get some of those air bubbles to come up and pop. See the air bubbles coming up and popping? That brings the air bubbles through the cake so that maybe it won't bake lopsided. All right, the rest of the bubbles might just have to stay because I see quite a number, but it's okay. All right, into the oven it's gonna go at 350 for 45 minutes. At the end of 45 minutes, I'm gonna take it out. I'm going to let it cool completely, and then I will come back here and we will frost it with some cream cheese frosting. And then we're gonna taste and hope. But I'll be let into Ireland again. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. All right, welcome back. So our cake. At the 45-minute mark, I was like, oh, let me check the cake to make sure that it's done. So I stuck my cake tester and releaser into the middle, and it still looked a little jiggly, so I gave it another 5 minutes, so 50 minutes in total. And when I opened the oven at 50 minutes, it had caved in a little bit. So, not sure exactly why it caved in, but it'll probably be fine, edibly wise. And it's all cooked. I mean, it was all cooked. Okay, so I'm gonna release my pan, and it should just come right off because we greased it. And we will slide our cake right off because we had the paper on it. I mean, other than the fact that there's a big hole in the middle, if you just look from the side, see, look, from the side, it looks beautiful. We'll just put a whole bunch of icing right in the center, and then no one will know the difference. I just made up some cream cheese frosting here that is just basically cream cheese, powdered sugar, and some heavy cream. If you want those icing instructions, they are on the recipe, but I didn't think you need to see me putting together some icing. So I'm just going to put the icing right in the center. See, we'll just fill the center so very nicely with icing, and then no one will know. And the directions actually say to not frost the sides because you want it to look like a frothy stout. So we are not going to froth the sides. We're not going to frost the sides. We'll just frost the top so that it looks like a frothy stout. All right, and it's done. So, time to cut and taste. So, here I have our beautiful cake. I will cut it right down the side here, slide out. I mean, it's chocolate cake. Looks like, wow, looks like a beautiful cream cheese chocolate cake. Do you see how dark and, oh, I think that's the darkest cake I've ever seen. Let me see if I can change the lighting just a little bit to see if you can see the cake better. Nope, that's as good as it gets here, y'all. Because it is so dark. It's such a dark, rich looking cake. Okay, let me grab a fork. All right, here we go. Guinness Stout chocolate cake. I'm so sad right now. Yeah, I like corned beef and cabbage. This is, I can still taste that Guinness in it, which obviously has Guinness in it, but oh, darn. Oh, the cake itself is so moist and rich and delicious. Like, it is a good cake, but that lingering stout flavor, I'm not liking it so much. Darn. I want to like it though, because that's good cake. That's really good cake. Let me see if I can get a good close-up of how moist and rich this cake is. Look at how dark this cake is. It's like the darkest cake I've ever seen. And it looks like I should love it. It really does, but that hoppy, barley kind of flavor is just lingering in my mouth, and I'm not so sure about it. Dang, I wanted to like this cake. I wanted to like it. I know my husband's gonna like it. He'll think it's just fine. But gosh, what a bummer. But I can tell you that if you like Guinness Stout, you will really like this cake. And I almost want to find another recipe that uses a similar method, putting butter in a frying pan and warming up liquids and combining everything together, because wow, is that cake moist and delicious, in the sense, like, I can tell that it's delicious, if that makes any sense whatsoever, but it's not my cup of tea or my glass of Guinness. I'm sorry, all of you Irish people out there. I will hand in my card, unless loving corned beef really does count, but it doesn't count. So I don't know. Green's my favorite color. I don't know. I don't know. But this was an adventure, that's for sure. And when I asked my husband and my friend what type of adventure for March that we should do, and they both said Guinness, I knew that I had to do it. And so there's two recipes, the meatballs and the chocolate cake, that both used Guinness and I both disliked. But I like the methods in both. So I loved the meatballs in the air fryer, and I loved the idea behind this cake. The moistness, the crumb itself is really nice. I just don't like the taste, but like I said before, you win some, you lose some. Sometimes you lose your Irish card. All right, you guys, well, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, and I'm always looking for the next adventure. Like, legit, Guinness in my food. Who knew? This is not something that I would have picked, but I did it because I like to adventure. I like new things. So if you have an adventure for me, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next adventure without anything Guinness. Bye.